Good morning, it's Tuesday, May 12th, and we're going to continue our discussion on the subject of action and our exploration of some of our inborn superpowers. And today that superpower for us to look at is kindness. And it comes from the prompt from the Daily Stoic, which is, what would happen if I responded with kindness, no matter what? So raising two young children is fascinating in so many ways, but not least of which is the access in which it provides into observing our human behavior and our interactions in their most raw and developmental form. Now consider the all too common example where child A, seemingly out of the blue, calls child B some nonsensical name like a cotton-headed nitty-muggins. Well, you know exactly what child B says back. I'm not a cotton-headed nitty-muggins, you're a cotton-headed nitty-muggins. You see, when we feel that we're wronged, even when we don't understand what happened, we feel compelled to respond in kind. Anger begets anger, rudeness begets rudeness, and so on. Now, physiologically, this is the normal response. When you feel emotions like anger, the sympathetic nervous system becomes activated by the hypothalamus in the brain, and it releases the stress hormones, adrenaline and noradrenaline, into the bloodstream. So you feel a rise in your heart rate and or your blood pressure as that fight or flight response kicks in. Now, the sympathetic nervous system has been extremely critical to our existence on this planet, as it's what has allowed humans to sense danger and survive long enough to produce future generations of their own. So I'm not going to advocate fighting against nature here, but I am going to suggest that there are some alternative tactics that we can consider while still operating within the rules of the game. It's very common to think that anger is caused by external factors, such as when somebody calls us a cotton-headed nitty-muggins. However, anger is the response to our own interpretations of stimuli, events, or even memories. So what happens when we allow for space between stimulus and response? What happens when we stop and say to ourselves, as Marcus Aurelius did, if they've injured you, then they're the ones who suffer for it. But have they? Consider this, angry feelings are always preceded by angry thoughts. Our interpretation matters. It's what allows us to stop, to assess, to bite the tongue and turn the other cheek, to refrain from impulsively calling the other person that same insult that they threw at us. Now, this is a good start, but as we're talking about action, there's an even more effective, albeit more challenging, action than choosing indifference. And Marcus continues, someone despises me. That's their problem. Mine, not to do or say anything despicable. Someone hates me. Their problem. There's the indifference. Mine, to be patient and cheerful with everyone, including them, ready to show them their mistake, not spitefully or to show off my own self-control, but in an upright, honest way. So not only does he remind himself to recognize that he actually hasn't been harmed, he's telling himself to receive that negativity, whether that's anger or rudeness, and transform it into the opposing positive emotion and reflect it back to the other person. He goes on to talk about how sincere kindness is invincible, that kindness can cause even the most malicious person to adjust their behavior, even right as they're about to harm you. Now, that is a lot to ask of a person. It requires that we successfully navigate through a well-refined physiological system of response designed for situations like this. But was it really? It was designed to keep you from becoming the next dinner for a saber-toothed tiger, not to respond at the first insult hurled your way. So I look at this as a two-step transformation in ourselves. The first is in allowing for that space between stimulus and response, or more appropriately, between stimulus and lack of response. Don't allow rudeness to beget rudeness. Turn the other cheek. But the next level of mastery is to allow for space between stimulus and proper response, which in this case is kindness. So how do we do that? Through practice. And how do we best practice? By working on it routinely in low stakes situations. If you seek out opportunities for acting with kindness in your day-to-day life, you'll more naturally be able to recall it when you need it most and when it seems to be the most elusive. Anyways, I hope you found that interesting. Have a great day.